Alright everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob from Smirking Gun Reviews, and today we are doing comic book reviews. New comics came out yesterday, so this is for the week of July 4th, and let's just jump right into it. So, I'm going to be doing things a little bit differently, which is, I'm going to be doing more spoilers. I feel like if you want these books, you know, whatever. I'm just gonna give more details into the books that I do. So just to start up, well, real quick, again, I'd like to thank everybody for putting up with me flipping with my hair all the time, but also that we did pass 150 subscribers, so that's just amazing. So let's just jump right in, I guess, and let's start with Astonishing XMen number 13. This is the variant Rob Liefeld cover. This is the beginning of a new storyline with a new team. The last one was A Man Called X. This is the new one. Basically, Havoc has to make up for some of the things that he's responsible for, even though it's not really been under his control. And Havoc wants to prove and be proactive in the X-Men game, proving that he's still an X-Man. And it gives us a group that will be put together more complete as the series goes on. So we've got like Dazzler, who you haven't really seen in a while. Colossus with the whole Kitty Pryde thing needs something to do. Proudstar, James Proudstar's character in Weapon X is kind of going through a thing. And Beast, you know, I haven't really seen much of Beast lately, it seems. So, I mean, I guess he was in a lot of different books going around, but this will give him something to do. It's a pretty good start. I've always liked Havoc. He's kind of a divisive character, it seems, but I've always really liked him. And I highly recommend the beginning of this new series. Astonishing X-Men is, to me, the best X book out there so far that I've been reading lately. So, yes. Start out with that. Okay, now we have Avengers number 4. Oh, by the way, this cover, the Rob Liefeld with Deadpool looking on, loving adoringly. If you could find it, get it. It's really cool. Sorry, Avengers number 4. So we got the continuing story. This told a lot from Odin's perspective, telling about how the original group of superheroes, basically the primordial age of superheroes, fought the final host. It's got Thor and She-Hulk kiss in it, so it's like whatever. I mean, I don't know. It is still a continuing good story. It's got a lot with Loki talking to Captain America about stuff. So this is kind of like that in-between story where you can feel like the tide, like certain things are happening where we're getting a little closer to some resolution and how it's going to conclude with a lot of information given by Odin, giving up like, you know, finding like things that Thor needs to make this final fight. We just got a lot of really cool like character development stuff that with like Ghost Rider and things like that that show how the team's going to be more of a unit going forward, becoming more like the Avengers. So yeah, this is a pretty good story if you like the Avengers. So now we have Captain America, the little reboot, Captain America number 1. This is the one of the variant editions. I was gonna get the Alex Ross one, but it's like that's the one that everybody has. I'm still picking it up. It's not the expensive Alex Ross one, but I really like this cover, especially with what's inside about kind of another safe reboot, where again Cap's kind of fighting these guys that are like basically model themselves after that Nuke guy, the one that's fought Wolverine and stuff in the past. Guy with the American flag painted on his face. So again, it's kind of like, yeah, they're fighting like just these thug type characters, same as like in Deadpool, same as like in Immortal Hulk. But it's the content, the art is back on top, or top notch for me. But I really like the story. It's a great jumping off point. I was a little curious of how they were going to handle a new reboot of Cap, but I am not disappointed. I highly recommend picking up Captain America. This is one of those where I'm not going to talk to you much about. If you like Captain America, you should definitely get this. Alright, so we have Cosmic Ghost Rider #1. Now, this character is a new character. He showed up in the Thanos book that just ended not too long ago, where Frank Castle became the Ghost Rider after Thanos killed everybody on Earth. He made a deal to become the Ghost Rider, but everybody was dead, so he slowly went insane on Earth, and until Galactus showed up to give him a mission, which is he becomes the Herald of Galactus, and they basically go across the galaxy to fight Thanos in the end. In the end, when he does meet Thanos, the Cosmic Ghost Rider is killed by the Silver Surfer wielding Thor's hammer. Now, this is like after his death, and Odin has pulled him into Valhalla because he was watching what was going on. In this book, basically, Cosmic Ghost Rider Frank Castle, at the beginning of this, you get to see kind of like he's been taken from the Ghost Rider. That's been taken away from him, and he's back to being Punisher, Frank Castle. And basically, it's how he ends up going back to being the Cosmic Ghost Rider. He is kind of like the Punisher meets Deadpool meets a Herald of Galactus. It's a pretty insane book. This deals with kind of like the Hitler storyline, like why didn't somebody go back in time and kill Hitler? Well, this does that with Thanos. And it kind of ends up with Ghost Rider, Cosmic Ghost Rider Frank Castle, riding around in the galaxy with a baby Thanos chained to his chest. It's a pretty crazy book. I highly recommend picking it up. I also highly recommend picking up the Thanos book, just to, if you want to read some of the stuff that's in there about the Cosmic Ghost Rider at the beginnings and stuff and how that all went down. It's pretty freaking great. So, all right, so Deadpool #2, second issue of this rebooted, kind of reimagining, however you want to put it. Does still have the legacy number at the top there, though, so when they eventually do go back, they are keeping track. This story is a little bit, again, it's a little slow going. This is basically just a fight with the Avengers and explaining like this weapon that Deadpool has that can only stop this thing. It's the only weapon that can stop this thing that has come to Earth. The design of this creature is pretty interesting. How it throws up little miniature versions of itself to fight. It's a pretty ridiculous thing, but it's pretty cool. It holds up to Deadpool. Deadpool's interactions with the Avengers is pretty solid. And it has got some pretty good violence in it, as far as like him taking hits from the Avengers and them just kind of not having any of his taking any of his shit. But I'm still like, it's good. I'm still just a little. They keep throwing the whole memory wipe thing in our faces, and I think it's time to figure out a way to move past that. But it's still pretty good. Right now, a book I do like for sure, with no kind of wishy-washiness, is Doctor Strange. This is #3, where he ends up finding the time gem with the Super Skrull. This is a Infinity Wars tie-in. Well, Infinity Wars hasn't even friggin' started. We're still with the Infinity Countdown, but this is basically them finding the Time Stone with the Super Skrull and how they get it from him. It's pretty cool how it all happens. It's kind of sad what Doctor Strange has to do to ensure he gets it, kind of like losing some, he makes a tough choice here to kind of deceive the person that he's traveling with, but they don't remember it by the end of it, but he does, and he still kind of feels bad about it. But this is pretty cool how they get the Time Stone from the Super Skrull is pretty cool, and just the more that they talk about magic in general is pretty awesome. And it looks like, going forward, we have a more interesting premise going to the Infinity Wars with Doctor Strange having the Time Stone. So next up, we have Weapon Lost, #3 of 4. Again, this is the detective version of The Hunt for Wolverine, where you got Daredevil, Misty Knight, Frank McGee, the Inhumans, and Cypher, all looking into the disappearance of Wolverine, his body. And in this, it's another kind of, all these feel like MacGuffins in a way, where this ends up being what stabbed Cypher is this android that is basically like a clone of Wolverine, but an android. And in the end, again, it's a pretty decent book, but as you can tell by the end of this, it's all going to be just little tiny pieces of the puzzle for each of these books. So I am fearing that this was kind of just a cash grab, but I am still enjoying the book a little bit. It has some cool stuff with like future stuff that could happen with these characters as well. So anyway, we have Immortal Hulk #2. Again, this book is slow going, trying to find its way to tell us what it's going to be kind of about. In this banner, there's a radiation monster in it, and Hulk and Banner can sense radiation, and just it kind of feels like a Twilight Zone episode meets, I don't know, old time television show Hulk, wandering around the street, walking the streets, getting into little adventures. Again, I don't know what they're going for. I hope that there becomes, it picks up. It gives us an overarching story. Because right now, one issue is about this issue is about that. I like to see a continuing story start to evolve, and I'm sure it will. But it's just kind of disappointing to see how slow of a start, and just kind of been there, done that territory we've gone through. Even though the Immortal Hulk is a different Hulk than we've seen before. So anyway, we have Infinity Countdown Champions #2. This cover's really cool. Basically, all it is the female champions and Nova fighting the Chitauri, fighting Warbringer to stop this fight before all the Chitauri die. Thanos isn't intervening to fight, but basically, in the end, in this book, the only thing that really happens is Thanos doesn't lose his army of Chitauri. He vaporizes Ironheart's armor, and at first I thought she was just dead. And then Nova finds out that even though he's helped fight this thing and accomplishes something big, he loses his Nova powers because they say he hasn't been properly trained. So see ya, kid. And that's all that basically is. I thought this was going to turn into something more, but I guess maybe there's tiny little bits of the puzzle. I mean, this book will probably be more interesting to read when it's all in one big graphic novel, but still, it was kind of good, but kind of like felt pointless. Speaking of Spiderman versus Deadpool, #35. The truth about the Parkers. Again, this LMD storyline, I keep thinking is running out of steam, and it just keeps going. Old man Deadpool and old man Spidey meet present Spidey and Deadpool. It's about the Parkers fighting this thing called the Master Matrix. It has to do with the Chameleon controlling like an LMD of Galactus at the end. I think that's an LMD of Galactus. But all I know is it's starting to just get like tired. I was thinking this was just a fun book, and it is still kind of a fun book, but I'm getting tired of this storyline. So maybe when that's done, maybe this book will be done. But what I used to think was really goofy and funny is starting to feel a little bit tired. So anyway, we have, it says all new Weapon X #20. Well, maybe that's because Old Man Logan's kind of dipped out. But again, this has been an interesting book. Again, you get to see the evolution of a possibly more heroic Omega Red. Not more heroic. A hero turn a little bit. More like in a redemption turn, too. Like, he's slowly, from Sabretooth of all people, teaching him that he could be more than this killer. And that's just it's a pretty interesting way to go about this storyline. But we have, like, Proudstar, Warpath is not enjoying this. The team is even feeling more fragile, but in the end, the heart of this book is the Omega Red storyline that could possibly, give Omega Red like a whole new kind of arc. And since this character's been around since like the very early 90s, he's just been one thing: a killer that controlled by the Russian government. So this is pretty cool stuff for a villain. So I still highly recommend Weapon X. It's still a fun book. The artist in here is not the artist I'm used to, but still pretty good, pretty good. All right, we are at 15 minutes. X-Men Gold number 31. Now again, this cover, it looks like an after thought of the last series, the Till Death Do Us Part, whatever. Because this is just a very small touch of what this book is about. This book I think it's like kind of the setup for the Extermination series that's coming out, because a lot of this is takes place in the future. A lot of people are getting wiped out. We see a lot of deaths from characters that we like. But again, it's time travel and it's X-Men, so how many of these things are, for sure going to happen? But it's always interesting to see these kind of what-if scenarios going down. So this is a good book, despite this cover being okay, let's move on from Colossus and Kitty Pryde not getting married. You guys fucked with us on this, and I need a little break. And at least in this, Colossus is I need to go. I can't be around you. You love me, and then you don't want to marry me, so on you. Which is setting him up to be on Astonishing X-Men. But again, there's a lot of pretty intense stuff that goes on in this book that has nothing to do with this cover. So this is if you were looked at this and went, ugh, enough. Believe me, once you start reading it, you won't be disappointed. Okay, so we're done with Marvel, and I'm just, I saw this because I know Batman 50 came out, but I saw this other variant for Batman issue number 49. Really like it, and in it is the conclusion of the Best Man little story. Joker and Catwoman having it out, and it's a pretty damn good book where Catwoman hits Joker in the throat with her whip, and he's bleeding out, holding his throat, and he shot her, and it's just them having conversations while they're dying, and trying to stay alive. And all the different things that they have to say to each other about life, villains, Batman, everything. And it's a really good, nice little tiny story that I was just enthralled with from beginning to end. It's a different way to look at Joker. It's a different way to look at Catwoman. And I'm really glad I picked it up. So, yeah, pick it up if you can. Not just this cover or whatever. But speaking of Batman number 50, this is Batman number 50, the Jim Lee variant. I am getting the regular one, but whenever I get a chance to get a Jim Lee cover, I don't pass it up. And as everybody knows, they don't even get... Alright, we just had this with X-Men Gold number 30, where Colossus and Kitty Pryde don't get married. It's the wedding issue, and it's been in the past, so we've been fooled by this crap before. But again, they do it to us again, and you could just see where it was going near the end, or it's they're not fucking getting married, and they don't. And it's just I don't know, take a chance. They did let Rogue and Gambit get married. Now, is that because they don't give a shit about those characters or something? Because they're giving them their own book. Mr. and Mrs. X. People can get married in comics and have cool stories, and I do think that they should have given this a chance. I think it's a very big missed opportunity. I think that maybe they feel like their fans don't... I don't know. I don't know the reasoning for this. They talk about, oh, well, Batman can't be Batman, and Catwoman go, I don't know. This is just my strong opinion, but I feel give them a chance. Give the story a chance. If you don't like it, just make them, piss off at each other later on in the series and get divorced or something, Let them at least have some happy moment for even a second. I still recommend it. It's got a lot of different artists in there doing pinup pages, from Kubert to Capullo, to older. Even Frank Miller's in here, his crappy art. But I digress. So again, it's still worth reading. It's just a disappointment that they can't just give us the goddamn wedding that we did. People, I don't know, did they want it? I don't know. All right, so we have Justice League number 3. Again, this is the variant Hawk Girl Jim Lee cover. Yes, me and my Jim Lee problems. But I'm gonna keep getting these variants. This is the continuing story, and it's good with Batman and Hawkgirl inside Superman's body, or I think they might be all be in Superman's body, or one might be in Martian Manhunters. I can't remember. But Lex Luthor and the Joker have snuck their way into their inside the bodies as well, but nobody else knows it. We get the whole ultraviolet light that has got John Stewart. We've got the still force that they talk about. And it's just, again, it's another solid issue of Justice League. Again, it's really interesting where they're going with this, and I can't wait to see what they do next. This is one I don't really want to give too many specifics about. And I also want to get this over with a little bit. But we have Man of Steel, number 6 of 6, the final issue of the Man of Steel before we start Brian Bendis' runs on, pardon me, Superman and Action Comics. And man, okay, so basically, let's just talk about it. Clark, Kal-El, Superman, lets Lois and his son go with Jor-El into space to learn. And I kept thinking, is this going to turn out to be his son or something? But they don't talk about that. But it's just, it's Bendis' writing is all on point, as usual. There's a lot of good stuff, a lot of good setup for what's going to be, Superman's runs with Bendis. And, as far as a little 6-part series, it gives us some answers. It gives us some interesting places to go with Superman. It leaves some definite questions that I would love to see how they play out. So, again, very good. All right, now finally, we have The Walking Dead, number 181. This is the standard. This is the variant 15th anniversary with Glenn on the cover. It's the Sankwitz. I can't say that guy's name, but had to pick up the Glenn cover just because. And this little one-part story, Together Strong, basically gives the the governor, the Commonwealth's governor is trying to show off what her people can do. Rick's people kind of show what they can do in a Walker fight. I don't know how this is going to pick up in the trade, if this will be included with the latest trade, but it kind of ends abruptly, and it's not all that memorable per se. Just kind of people flexing their muscles at each other a little bit. I felt like there was going to be more going on in this book, but as you read any of the Walking Dead books, some of these you can read and it'll take you a little bit. Some of these you'll be done in a minute. This isn't one of those where it was just done in a minute, and now I gotta wait a month. But I will take this one couple of minutes of a book read over what's been going on the goddamn show. So anyway, still good, still worth picking up. Any issue of the comic is way better than the show most of the time. Sorry. So that's it. So if you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe, comments, share, what have you. Anyway, we will see you on the next comic review or on one of the other videos. And again, for all of the few of you that do watch this, thanks for all the support, and we will see you on the next comics video. Keep reading, everybody. Bye.